Welcome to the Silhouettes of Success podcast with your host, successful entrepreneur, broker, and business mentor, Amber Weitzer. Because success comes in all shapes, sizes, and styles, the Silhouettes of Success podcast is shining the light on industrious women with a collection of curated conversations of intentional inspiration designed to inspire your heart, ignite your mind, feed your soul, and gift you with actionable insights directly from inspirational, everyday women who've shown tenacity, grit, and grace, having taken on the challenges in their lives and business and won. Remarkable, down-to-earth, and relatable, Amber and her guests will share with you uplifting and extraordinary real-life success stories, motivational ideas that just might help spark something within you. With the deepest desire to serve you, help you grow so you can begin to shine the light that will illuminate your very own silhouette of success. So, let's get to it.
Hello and welcome to the Amber Weitzer podcast, Silhouettes of Success. Our VIP featured guest is a creative entrepreneur, the owner and president of Cindy's Custom Linens and Upholstery. She owns a small workroom and studio located 20 miles from Key West, Florida. Her business specializes in interior design, upholstery, window treatments, and custom bed linens, serving a wide range of clients from residential to commercial hospitality. Her experience as a master seamstress spans 45 years, with her creative journey beginning at the age of 5, designing and sewing unique clothes for herself and her barbies, with her mom's guidance at the dining room table in Colorado, where she developed her skills. In high school, she realized a passion for fashion design and pursued it by earning a degree from Colorado State University, where after her studies, she ventured to New York City, then decided to take a break, relocated in Florida not far from Key West. She says she is living her dream in the Florida Keys with her partner of 20 years and their amusing pups, Silhouettes. Let's welcome Cindy Williams to the show. Hello, Cindy. How are you?
Hi, Amber. I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. It is so fabulous and wonderful to visit with you today as you share your Silhouette of Success story. So once again, welcome.
Thanks for having me. I'm very flattered.
Well, we are very honored to have you and so excited. So I love to kick up the conversation. I know I shared a little bit about you from your bio in the intro, but share the early shapings of your Silhouette of Success by talking a little bit more about your background with the audience.
I just have always had a thing for fabrics and making. I've always been a maker. I've always been creative. And my mom was a seamstress. She would make our clothes. She would make curtains. She would hung wallpaper. And I just really latched onto that. And so I spent a lot of time picking out fabrics. I spent a lot of time in fabric stores. And I, would just browse all the fabrics and feel them all and then look through patterns and make myself my clothing. And it was kind of noticed by some of my friends in school, and my friends would ask me to make clothes for them. And I just always kind of followed this path where I was always with a sewing machine. I was always sewing stuff. So as I went through high school and started some of my first jobs, I found that they always had something to do with fabrics, always had something to do with sewing. I worked kind of at my home most of the time, but I had a lot of things that were just dropped on me. I guess the word got out somehow, and I made everything from kites for a kite store in Denver to I made lingerie for like a private company. This woman had like little shows, like little kind of like a Tupperware party, but it was for lingerie. And so I sewed her lingerie. My mom and I did this together, and we'd giggle and laugh about it. But I eventually just found myself really determined to go into fashion design. And that's where I thought that my passions really lied. Found that Colorado State University had a program. It was a very small program. And I pursued that. And I loved every single bit of it. I was really, really into fashion at the time. I mean, this was early 90s. So the fashion at that point was like so amazing, right?
Yeah, best ever. 80s and 90s.
Yeah. So I was lucky enough to start a program with J.Crew, right after college, I was required to do an internship as the final phase of my degree. And J.Crew partnered with a couple schools and did a paid internship. And at the time, it was just a little mail order catalog. There was no real internet at the time. I think we did all of our communications, in fact, by fax for the most part. I don't even remember doing email. But yeah, I just kind of up and moved to New York City all by myself, didn't know a soul there, and found a place to live and just kind of got into my groove and walked myself through the streets of New York to work every day. And I loved every minute of it. I have never in my life been so broke. I didn't, I rarely had a penny to my name, but I just lived for it. And I really had an amazing time. But it just didn't feel like exactly what I wanted it to be. I wanted to be a fashion designer. And I was working in a line that was called production. And we were basically working with the designers, but working with the factories overseas. And we were overseeing basically the design production. And we included fit models, and we all of it, like I said, all of our communication was through fax. We'd get boxes in the mail every day and open them up, color fit model, fit them, and send the comments back to the factories where they would correct the fit and they would correct the pattern that was on the fabric. And we chose buttons and hang tags and that sort of stuff. It was actually really quite interesting. And I really loved the field, but I wasn't creative enough. And that really kind of bummed me out. So yeah, I just kind of one day decided after 3 years, I up and moved to the Florida Keys. I had a friend from high school, or no, from college, who lived in the Keys. She was a dive instructor. And I thought that was like the coolest thing ever. And I know that my dad, for one, was absolutely mortified that I had moved to the Florida Keys. I think that he thought that I was going to be like dealing drugs or something. His idea of Florida was Miami Vice.
Like a beach home. Well, as it should be, right?
Yeah. So, and I was really very defiant. I mean, I was 22 years old with a very big head. And I thought that I should have been a really bigwig at that point in time. So I was like, to heck with it. I'm just going to go, play in the sun. So eventually, within about a year, I started working for an interior design build firm, and I grew with them. They were a very small business, but family owned. And I grew with them over about 6 years. And I think that I got to the point where I was just like ready to make my next move. I was, again, kind of not feeling like I was as creative as I wanted to be. And I'd worked with an upholsterer. He did work for us, for the company. We'd hire him when we needed pieces upholstered here and there. And I just asked him one day if I could come and learn from him. So I trained with him. He was a master upholsterer, and I trained with him for really a very short amount of time. And I want to say I only worked for him for about maybe 4 to 6 months. But in that time, we traveled to Hawaii and did a big hotel renovation. And I got to see really the nooks and crannies of doing commercial work. So I think initially I was introduced into the upholstery field more with commercial work. But I learned how he quoted jobs. I learned how he, all the logistics. He would work on these jobs, and he stored all of the equipment to work on these projects in Hawaii. He had a storeroom there. So as these jobs would come along, he specifically wanted to be in that area. But all of his sewing machines, all of his, air compressors and staple guns and all that stuff was all there in Hawaii. We drug it all out and put it in a ballroom and started upholstering sofa after sofa after sofa. And it was a really quick learn because it was just this production line. So I just came back from that a little early, and I thought, you know what, I want to do this. I'm just going to take the leap of faith. I'm just going to try this on my own. I had started a very small business on my own. I named it Cindy's Custom Linens. That's how I started with my name, is I was making bed linens, custom bed linens, pillows, bed skirts, duvets, all of the things that go with that, window treatments, for the big design build firm that I worked for. And it was kind of a side job. I was killing it, really, but I was doing it on my, little tiny dining room floor and at my kitchen table. And I thought, I just need to do this full time. So I kind of incorporated the two ends of those, and I quit my job and I started doing it full time, and it stuck. I mean, and it, even to this day, it kind of surprises me that it stuck. And I've come a really, really long way. I started this in 2011, but I'm almost one of the only of my kind here in the Florida Keys, which is pretty cool. So that's it in a
This
nutshell.
that's not okay. Whoa. It's not it. Nice try, friend.
Nutshell.
Okay, yeah. A coconut, big nutshell. Okay, so time out. All right. You talked a little bit about or you mentioned you know, when you were 22 years old and having this mindset. You're kind of headstrong, aren't you? A little bit?
Maybe a little bit. Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little bit. Okay,
Yeah.
because when it sounds like when you make up your mind, I've got my notes here and I'm tracking it. First of all, I was completely seeing you throughout your journey in my head. I mean, you're just painting such a great visual. It's like a Lifetime movie. I mean,
Oh.
your story should be a movie.
Oh my gosh, my
But
dream's coming true. I'm in a Lifetime movie.
move over, Hallmark, right? Yeah, it's Lifetime. So this is just so wild. Peeling all of this back, where does the courage come from? Is it natural for you to be so courageous to take these leaps? Or
I
is it something maybe that you developed along the way to just because you have a strong belief in yourself? And a lot of us, I think, and maybe that's something that draws us to you, just to watch or just to say, okay, I did this, and to hear your story.
Well, thank you. Oh my gosh, that's a lot. Thank you very much. Yeah, I have always been very headstrong, I guess. I think my sisters would 100% attest to that. I have three sisters, by the way. And yeah, I've always been a force to be reckoned with, I think. And sometimes, sometimes that hinders me a little bit too. I don't know. It's good and bad. But I do try to take it as a good thing. My mom has kind of asked me the same thing on several occasions, like, where did you get this? Like, how did you decide you wanted to be an entrepreneur? I think I've always kind of felt like if you don't try it, you won't know.
Mhm.
So I've approached things that way. Like, let's just try this. I delve into, even some of these pieces that I upholster where I'm just like, what have I gotten myself into? But I just push through. I just push through it. It's scary. It is scary, but I guess I've always seen something that ahead of me that I maybe want to grasp onto.
We are onto something, and so impressive, so impressive. Well, let's dial it back a little then. Take a little of the pressure off. The alarm clock goes off and your work or business day begins. What's a day in the life look like for you in a snapshot version? Are you structured with routine? Are you a routine lady with time blocks, or are you more with your creative side, spontaneous? Talk to us a little bit about that.
I'd like to say that I'm a very scheduled person, but I know that, things come up. I think that every day is not going to exactly be the way that you have it planned out when you're an entrepreneur, because things just come up. But to answer your question, so I'm an early riser. I always have been. I'm usually up when the sun comes up. Haven't set an alarm for years, unless I'm going on vacation. Then the alarm's like a good thing, but I can't stand that nagging sound of an alarm clock. So I have dogs. They also wake you up at a very specific time. My Roscoe is getting to be a little bit of a grumpy old man, so he gets up and he starts barking because he thinks food is everything right now. So I get up and a lot of times I just grab my coffee, grab my phone, like I think all of us do now, flip through social media, look at my emails, and then I kind of start to sort out my day. I have to remind myself of, the things that I have to do. I've intentionally never taken my computer into my workplace because I find it too distracting. So I spend a little bit of time in the morning on my computer doing whatever computer work I need to do, answering emails, writing quotes, ordering supplies and materials, that sort of thing. I'm a chronic to-do list maker. I have a to-do list on my phone. I have a to-do list for home. I have a to-do list for work. And so I kind of click through all of those things and make sure that I'm on track. And then when I get to my shop, it's usually anywhere between 9 and 10. And I just kind of start in. I could be cutting out things that need to be sewed for the gal that works for me. I could be prepping for a meeting with a client where I'm making fabric selections and putting like an idea book together to present to a client. Sometimes what I try to do is schedule a very specific day where I meet with clients. So a lot of times the day ahead of that, I'm getting those meetings ready. So I'll have a full day where those are my client meetings, where this week, for instance, I actually had to run up the Keys, which is a kind of a joke around here. You live on one side of the 7 Mile Bridge or the other, and you often joke that you don't cross the 7 Mile Bridge. And I don't know why, but the people up north don't like to come down south, and the people down south don't like to go up. At any rate, I had 2 doctor's appointments that were in the upper Keys. And I thought, I've got 2 clients that I really should go and meet with. So I scheduled around my doctor's appointments and made it a whole working day. So, every day is really different. Some days I'm in like grubby clothes, hair in a ponytail. It is not glamorous. I'm inside of furniture, pulling staples out, getting dirty, getting messy, but always creating. And so my days are pretty happy, but that they're not always stress-free. And then when I'm done with work, I try to be done around like 4 or 5 o'clock, and I go home, and really just the evening is for making dinner and hanging out with the pups and Alicia and just chilling out and just lounging around and getting ready for the next day.
You are living your best life. You can hear it in your voice. I'm looking through my notes here, and you just had some great best practices that caught my attention. And I am very impressed with the discipline not to take your laptop to your workroom or your shop and to be away from that, because it is such a temptress. I mean, it's that, you have your phone, but if you really have a different device, you are probably more apt to, go do something on it. So good for you. I am digging that for sure. That's got 2 stars right here on my my to-do list.
And it's taken me a minute to figure out that I definitely have some ADD issues. So, I can be like, there's a squirrel at any point in time, and I'm distracted.
Yeah.
And luckily, I have a good friend who works with me. She's been working with me for a couple years now, and she can call it out. She's like, are you having an ADD moment? And I'll just be like, okay, I need to focus. I need to really focus. It's overwhelming enough in my workspace because there's a lot in here. At any given point in time, I have, multiple projects that I'm working on in various stages. So it is sometimes really hard to focus. And that's why a lot of times I'll just actually take from my to-do list, I'll put another piece of paper right in front of me with highlights of this is what has to be done today. It's been one of the biggest challenges, I think, of being an entrepreneur is getting the schedule right. Just making sure that you're using your time wisely. So the computer, sometimes I suffer because I'll end up having to spend like a whole Saturday where I'm, glued to my computer. And that's a bummer. I've always maintained that I want to keep work at work and I want to keep my home separate. But, as an entrepreneur, as you know, they combine all the time.
Right. There's a great blend of that. It's amazing that, going back to what you were sharing about having the colleague there with you that is brave enough, because when there are some of us that when we're strong willed and moving forward and in the zone, that some people are scared to call us out, but good for you. I'm jealous. You know that she will call it for you and help you to be accountable to what needs to get done, in addition to all of the things that, you're doing, like you talked about, measuring yourself, if you will. But great for that. So throughout your journey so far, do you have a treasured accomplishment or milestone that you'd want to share with us?
I've been very privileged to be invited into people's homes. I don't think that a lot of people actually realize that that is a huge part of what I do. Is I become a part of your home. You've invited me there to take a look at your space, to like really soak it all in so that I can go back and inspire you and give you exactly what you want. I think that might be underappreciated in what I do, is that at the end of the day, you've asked for something and I'm going to produce it. So that is an accomplishment, I think, that happens all the time for me. It has been very rewarding for me. I started out doing repairs for a very new hotel in Key West years ago. This is when I really first started my business. And I was looking for any way to make money doing what I do. So I picked up any old job. So this hotel was fairly new and they needed repairs done to like their patio cushions. And so I started making their cushions. Long story short, throughout the years, I had a folder of all of the pieces of furniture on their property. And they would call me and say, we need 10 pool cushions for this chair, or we need 12 bed skirts for king size beds, or whatever. So it became this thing where we call it a maintenance program. That was a really good way for me to constantly have an income and not just wait around for the residential customers. I really love the residential customers because it's one-on-one and we really get to make what you want. Doing the commercial work, it gets a little mundane. It's a little boring. It's the same thing over and over and over and over because I'm making like 42 cushions of the same thing. But getting into that one hotel was a big accomplishment because it also gave me the confidence to cold call when work was getting a little bit slim. I'd put on a nice outfit and I'd walk around. I mean, it's beautiful to walk around Key West, and I would literally walk around Key West and go from hotel to hotel and ask for head of housekeeping or the general manager and give them my business card and just say, this is what I do. This is where I am. I would, love to be your go-to person. And it worked. And I do work for, I would say, at least 50% of the hotels in Key West right now. It's amazing. It has been really, really rewarding. This year alone, I did some really beautiful commercial work. One hotel, we're still kind of finishing it up, but it's a little boutique hotel in Key West. It's called the Orchid Key Inn. It's just a sweet, sweet little place, but we really jazzed it up, put a lot of color in there. We did all new window treatments, really splashy valances, pillows, and it inspired them to, there's more work coming. So we've been looking at some other items around the hotel, things that need to be done. And they also own another hotel. I've done work for some really lovely people. They've become friends of mine. I started their restaurant called Antonia's. It's on Duval Street, which is kind of the main street of Key West. When you come to Key West, you have to be on Duval pretty much the whole time. So both of these places are on Duval. So I've got a lot of people looking in at my stuff. So that is a huge accomplishment to me. I'm very proud of my work. It's recognized, and I'm referral based. I've never advertised. I do not have any kind of advertisement whatsoever. So my clientele has come to me because I've been referred, and that's a huge accomplishment. So that's really where it comes down to.
It's amazing. Just the hard work, the diligence, putting yourself out there, and then just honoring the intimate trust that you shared with your clients. It's amazing. As an independent business owner, where do you turn to for support?
My friends, especially my friends that are here, that have seen the growth of my business. There's so much encouragement. I've surrounded myself with women who we just have a tight bond of building each other up and supporting each other. It goes two ways. I feel like I want to support my friends as much as they support me. My friends will be the first to jump in and refer me. But, I'm in a lonely field because there's no one around me that does what I do. I've really had to find my own way. So sometimes I would feel like it's really just hard to talk about my business with my friends because nobody really gets it. And one day I was just like, you know what? They're the right people to talk to. Who cares if they know what I'm doing? We're commiserating on, some of the minute details, how a specific client treated me or, this or that. But yeah, it's friends and family too. But being built up is really important, and building others up is really important.
Cindy, where do you turn to when you need inspiration?
I have to say, I'm kind of a newbie with Instagram. This is really kind of crazy. Like, I've only been using Instagram for about the last 6 or 8 months. I cannot believe that I was missing out on the world of inspiration that is Instagram. I started following people that were doing what I do. I really thought that my category was a male based industry because all I ever knew of upholsterers was male based. And there is such a plethora of amazing women doing exactly what I do all over the world. So I have been like staring at Instagram pages that probably no one else around me would ever look at, but I don't care because they're inspiring to me. But, I feel like inspiration it's so important finding and being inspired, because what that does is it sparks your own confidence. When you see something that inspires you, you're really recognizing it because maybe you see that in yourself as well. And I think that that's how you can really create your own identity, is being inspired, but taking bits and pieces of those things and making it yourself. So I looked to Instagram. I've found a lot of really amazing people. I mean, obviously, the person who connected us, Wendy Chair Whimsy, she's at the top of my list. I follow her incessantly. I love everything she does. I love everything about her. She's just such a wonderful person. And through that, I've found a couple of other people that do what I do. Chosen Chairs. I think she's a Chair Whimsy grad, actually. The Artful Chair. I think she might be a past Pink Creative, which we haven't even talked about Pink Creatives, but that is a huge, huge, huge place where I found inspiration this year alone.
Love it. Love
Yeah.
it. All right, my lady, we're going to take a quick break to hear from this episode's sponsor, and we'll be right back. I personally have been investing with Ashcroft Capital for about 5 years. I know the co-founder, Joe Fairless, pretty darn well. He's my brother, so I can personally vouch for him and how he approaches things. I like investing with Ashcroft because of the monthly cash flow. They buy apartment buildings, improve them, and then sell them. It's a good business to be in, and I'm glad to passively invest with them. You can learn more at ashcroftcapital.com. That's ASHCROFT capital.com. And we're back. Okay, because I have been I took so much of your time before we even hit the magic record button. Do you have a few more minutes?
Yeah,
Just a
no,
couple?
I got
Okay.
time.
Okay, groovy. I want to squeeze some questions in. I love some of these questions too, and our audience does, because we love sharing all this collaboration with you and what really, gets you going. So we talked about inspiration. When do you feel your greatest sense of satisfaction, and what feeds your soul?
It goes beyond business. It's like it just in your life in general. I love to travel, and I found a person that, we travel really well together, we eat well together. So I think as much as you can travel in your life is amazing. I don't have children, so I know that a lot of people will say that it's their kids or, being a mother. What I don't have that, but I can find joy in other people's children and being around, other families, and just being around people that make you feel good, and people
Yeah.
that help create. I could go on and on. I'm involved in a couple of other like really creative little things around that happen in the Keys, and the yearly events and things like that. And I try to help out as much as I can when I'm asked, because I don't have children. So people know that they can come to me for fundraisers. It's like
Yeah.
I'm doing my part to, raise the next generation.
Well, and you know what? You've got your pups, and you give, like you're talking about. We can just hear it. And we all give and, do different things. And that's what makes the world go round. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
gosh, it's amazing what you do and what you're doing. Okay. So, on a totally different note, as we do begin to wind down and respecting the time that you're giving us and giving me selfishly, we
Thank
all
you.
crave great resources that might, inspire, uplift, or expand our minds. Do you have a favorite, whether it be a book or an author, resource, influencer, person, anything you'd want to share with the audience that they might enjoy researching?
Well, I think I was touching on that a little bit with Chair Whimsy and Pink Creatives. I hate to say it, but I used to be a really big reader and I just don't anymore. I think the ADD comes from being on our phones so much. And I have a hard time sitting down and actually like really delving into a book. So I'm kind of jealous of people that do that. Um, Other resources, I don't know.
We keep the promise with our audience always, and your conversation has had a plethora of it, but I'm going to put you on the spot one last time. Do you have a piece of key go-to advice or quote? Everybody's got quotes or affirmation. Is there anything that has stuck with you or resonates strongly with you that you'd want to share with the audience about intentional inspiration?
Just let your inspiration build your confidence,
Mm.
because you just can't be afraid to be yourself. Here's somebody saying all the time, who cares what people think? Like, just who cares? The right people are the right people for you. So if somebody doesn't like what you're doing, who cares? Maybe they're just not worth it. But just be confident in what you have got. I would also give the advice to really think about your own personal time and how you schedule things. Be really intentional as much as possible to set a solid schedule. And it doesn't mean that, it has to be, 10 o'clock this, 11 o'clock this. It just know that these are the things that you want to do within this time frame and get it done. So scheduling is very important. And it's important to schedule personal time as much as it is important to schedule your business. So that's a big piece of advice that I would give for sure.
Outstanding. Oh, all right, my lady. The stage is completely yours. Where can our audience go to find and connect with you, whether it be on your socials or website or contact information, and support you in your continued success?
Well, I think I said I'm a real newbie at Instagram, but I am trying. So this is definitely going to be like a little fire under my butt to stay on track. But my Instagram and my Facebook both are in the works, and they're both Cindy's Custom Linens with no apostrophe after Cindy. So CindysCustomLines. And that's all I've got. I'm also working on getting a newsletter started. This is some inspiration that I found in October. I'm not sure that I want to blog, but I think I'm going to at least try to get a newsletter going next year so that I can kind of just tell people what it is I do and how I work and how you can find me, and maybe give them some inspiring ideas along the way. So
Love
that's
that.
that's what I
Love that.
got. Yeah.
You can include the link to your podcast so they can hear your story in your newsletter.
Oh yeah.
You are a rock star. All right, my lady. Selfishly, I know I have to let you go and let you get to do what you do so magically. Cindy, it has been a joy, a pleasure, an honor visiting with you today. Thank you for taking time to share your silhouette of success story with us. You are a definite light in my world and inspiration. So thank you once again.
Oh, thank you, Amber. I really enjoyed talking to you. And thank you so much for inviting me. I'm flattered, and this has been real fun. So thank you so much.
My pleasure. All right, my lady. Until next time.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Silhouettes of Success podcast. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on all the new episodes. We are here for you and with you. We encourage you to share this podcast on all your socials and pass on the light to help illuminate another silhouette of success. To find out the latest ways to inspire your heart, ignite your mind, and gain actionable insights, subscribe at thesilhouettesofsuccess.com or connect with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. We're grateful that you tuned in. Remember, you are exactly where you need to be, right here with us. This is the Amber Weitzer Podcast, Silhouettes of Success.